Hello everyone and welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck techs that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have a Squee the Immortal deck tech, an EDH Storm combo deck, very focused on benefiting from Squee's ability to be cast from the graveyard or from exile, because he just can't die. He is immortal and living his best life. Current TCG market value of this deck is $229 to $278, and we are running a land count of 34 lands, with 25 of those being mountains and 9 of those being non-basic lands. So the goal of this deck is to combo off with Squee and be able to basically cast him for free, or to benefit off of sacrificing other creatures that might come in off of these casts, and to get that storm count infinite, so then we can cast one of the many cards we have in the deck that are benefiting from that storm count. So to get us started today, we are going into our win cons, our I win cons. So we are running a Mycosynth Lattice as well as a Vandal Blast. So Mycosynth Lattice is going to turn everything into artifacts, and then Vandal Blast is going to blow up your opponent's boards. Or if we don't have the Vandal Blast, we have Mycosynth Lattice as well, and then we cast something like Hellkite Tyrant, and that is letting us win at our upkeep as long as we have 20 or more permanents out. We are running the Blasphemous Act Repercussion combo as well. So with Repercussion out, if a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion's dealing that much damage to that creature's controller, and we play something like Blasphemous Act when our opponent's board states have at least 3 creatures, and this is going to basically win you the game. So very powerful mono red BS here. And then now let's get into this Infinite Storm combo that we're talking about with Squee. So what you're going to want to start with is a mana discounter. So we're going to run something like Hazoret's Monument, Helm of Awakening, even Ruby Medallion gets this done. So we're discounting Squee to basically make him only cost 2 red. And then you're running things like Runaway Steamkin or Burgi, God of Storytelling, and that's getting you an additional red every time you're casting Squee. So this kind of combos off and allows you to do this multiple times. We also have Grinning Ignis with the Runaway Steamkin combo, so that allows you to cast Grinning Ignis infinitely as well. So if something should happen to Squee, we have this option. We have Honor Worn Shaku as well. It can tap for a colorless mana, or you can tap an untapped legendary permanent you control to untap it. And then here's where the combo kind of breaks. So it's not enough to discount Squee. You need basically an additional creature coming in with him to be able to sack and get that red mana. So Genesis Chamber, Desecrated Tomb, and Annex Harden in the Forge all bring in a friend every time you cast Squee. And then we have the sack outlets like Skirk Prospector, Thermopod, and Phyrexian Altar. Skirk Prospector does want it to be a goblin, so there is that caveat there. However, Thermopod and Phyrexian Altar can all sack a creature to make a red mana, so this is where that combo goes off. So with the discount, if you're able to sack Squee and one of the friends he's bringing in off a Thermopod or Phyrexian Altar, then you are making that 2 red mana, and you're able to do this infinitely to get that storm count super high and infinite. There's also infinite Enter the Battlefield and death triggers as well, which will matter later. So here are all the cards that benefit off of that Storm ability. So Storm Scales Scion is saying that it brings copies of it in off of Storm. So if you're going infinite, you're bringing in infinite copies of this. Elemental Eruption is allowing you to bring in additional dragons with prowess and flying off of the Storm. Empty the Warrens is bringing in goblins. Fiery Encore is an interesting one, so you're going to discard a card and then draw, and as long as you're discarding non-lands, it is dealing damage equal to that card's mana value to target creature or planeswalker. For something like Repercussion out, you're solid and you're winning the game with this one. Grape Shot is just cutting to the chase and going right to the players for the damage. Volcanic Awakening is land destruction. Spreading Insurrection is taking your opponent's stuff. And Ignite Memories is revealing cards from their hand, and then they are dealing damage equal to the cards converted mana cost. And all of these have Storm, so if you're able to pull off all of the combos on the previous slide, you're getting to do these infinitely. Super fun build here. And then here's the enter the battlefield or the cast payoffs. So with something like Path of Ancestry, even though we're not running a ton of goblins in the deck, Squee is a goblin, so we get the scry every time. Aetherflux Reservoir is another win con here, so it just gets out of hand. Every time you're casting a spell, you're gaining a life for every spell you've cast this turn, and then you're able to pay 50 to Death Star somebody. But with Squee going infinite with those Storm combos, you get to do this infinitely and gain 1 billion life and shoot everybody. Irreverent Gremlin is allowing you to draw. Impact Tremors is pinning everybody. Skyfire Phoenix is getting to come back every time you cast your commander. So this is another sack fodder to get that red mana. Gimli of the Glittering Caves is getting bigger off of every time a legendary creature comes in. And his dad Gloin is making you treasures. Rose Room Treasurer is also making you treasures off of the first 2 ETBs. And then Burning Vengeance is dealing 2 damage to any target every time you cast something from your graveyard. And then the Sacrifice Death payoff, so Vicious Shadows is really broken in a deck like this, because whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from play, which Squee will be, you can have it deal damage to target player equal to the number of cards in their hand, so really broken. Shivan Harvest is a sack outlet here and is allowing us to destroy a non-basic land, so a little bit of board control. Skittering Precursor is allowing us to create an Eldrazi spawn off of sacrificing a non-token permanent. Goblin Bombardment is sacking to deal a damage. Siege Gang Commander and Arms Dealer want a Goblin sacked, so Squee would be our target there, and then they're doing 2 to 4 damage. Flare of Duplication is allowing you to sack Squee to copy a spell, and then Dark Dweller Oracle is allowing us to sack a creature to get pseudo draw. We exile the top card, and we can play that card this turn. And then other good stuff in the deck, so Araxa, Empress of Mars, is bringing in 2/2 aliens, so more sack fodder to pull off those Storm combos. Khazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, is our red propaganda. Brash Taunter is allowing us to do damage to an opponent as long as it takes damage. We've got targeted removal with Guff Rewrites History and Chaos Warp. Blood Moon to turn everything into mountains. And then Count on Luck is giving us pseudo draw. So at our upkeep, we're exiling a card and we can play the card this turn. And then we've got a ton of draw in the deck. The ones focused on the lands being War Room, Smoldering Crater, and Forgotten Cave allow us to cycle. Skull Clamp is allowing us to equip to Squee for 1, and then we draw 2. Big Score and Unexpected Windfall for the added benefit of the treasures. Endless Atlas is really good in this deck because we're mono red. So as long as we have 3 mountains, we're drawing for 2 mana repetitively. Vanquisher's Banner is so good. Again, there's not a ton of goblins in the deck, but if we choose Goblin and we're casting Squee a bunch, we got draw. And then Tomb of Legends is allowing us to get page counters and remove 1 for a draw every time our commander enters, which will be a lot. And then we're running the new one from Final Fantasy, Snort. So Snort says each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards, and then it does 5 damage to opponents that did that, so really broken there. And then we've got the expected tutors in the deck, so Gamble and Imperial Recruiter to get out something like Runaway Steamkin if we need it, and then Reckless Handling to get out another combo piece with those artifact discounters or Phyrexian Altar. And then we've got other mana in the deck, so Ruby Medallion works with those Storm combos as well because it's discounting Squee. Mana Geyser for mana for tapped lands. Soul Ring and Terrain Generator. Terrain Generator is getting us additional basics. Relic of Legends works really well because we can recast Squee, tap him for mana, and then sack him for mana as well. So this works with those Storm combos. Solemn is getting us a land when he enters and a draw when he leaves. And then we're running Jessica's Will and Mana Flare to double up our lands. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.